goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Kyneton, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Woolscroft.
How are you guys doing today?
Doing good?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Feeling good.
Feeling sassy?
Feeling good? Feeling good? So,
Totally.
How was your
Well, I'm
Halloween?
It was good.
It was good?
It was good. Dressed up a little bit, ate a little bit of candy, drank a little, saw friends. It was a good time.
It's full of fears and frights.
Fears and frights?
Ghouls and tricks.
Did you see what John dressed up as for Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you
Yeah.
kind of clue in our audio audience here what they could see.
John dressed up as Harley Quinn without a shred of irony,
I look dead sexy.
and he was in very, very small shorts.
Jesus Christ, yeah, they really were.
They were very small.
I'm surprised that there wasn't like a ball sticking out.
I mean, he had to sit down carefully.
Oh yeah, if I
was also-
farted in those, I would have blown out the back.
He was also caged in the fishnets.
Oh, Jesus.
Beast was caged.
If a slight breeze just hit, it would have been really bad.
It would have been
Of
terrible.
course, for my own amusement, I had to stuff a pair of socks in there too, which
Of course.
there was no room to give to begin with.
Well, not necessarily.
Where did you get the costume, or did you just like go to?
Literally just bought it.
Party
You just bought
City.
it? Party
Party
City?
City had
Yeah.
like all the Suicide Squad like actual licensed stuff.
Oh,
So it's
Jesus.
a totally legit costume.
I had to
actually.
roll the die that it would fit because obviously it's a woman's costume.
I get this text in the middle of the day.
Did you try it on
He's
in
like-
Party City?
Yeah.
That's what I told him to do because I was like, don't fucking buy it if it's
No,
not
don't buy
gonna
that
fit.
shit.
Like, they don't
And it probably
take
was expensive,
Well,
too.
they don't. Yeah, and they don't take returns. Like,
Yeah,
you
they
know.
do.
Well, I mean, only for store credit. That's
Yeah, they
bullshit.
won't
Or to
take it for
swap,
money.
yeah.
Yeah, so
I worked at Party City. I know how it is.
Yeah, well, I just get this text in the middle of the day. He's like, "Do you think I would fit into a women's size 14?" I don't know, Buffalo Bill. Fucking try it on.
Or
Jesus Christ. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a totally legit costume. Like, I tried on the top. Like, the top was actually kind of cute. Like, the jacket and the shirt were like attached to
Yeah.
each other, so it was kind of neat.
Did you go as the Joker?
I did not. I had
You
my
really
own
should have
costume.
gone as the Joker.
I rarely subscribe to John's madness.
That would have been actually kind of like repugnantly adorable. Like I just wanted to
like, oh, they're
be
so edgy, but they
insane.
still love each other. And like, this
Yeah.
was just John's unbridled madness.
Well, I thought it was great because like your makeup was all smeared and
I did his makeup. I didn't
It
do a
was
half bad
great.
job. I did
She
it in
was
like 5
afraid
minutes.
That was
to smear
awesome.
the lipstick. I was like, just do it. Just
do
put it
it.
all over my face. She's
Smear it like I'm
this
a
goes against
whore.
girl code.
It goes against every fiber in my being, man. You
no,
can't
but it
smear
was
lipstick like
great.
that.
It was fantastic. You know what?
He
You
looked
know what you
good.
should do, John, is you
Yes.
should take those pictures and put them on your brand new Twitter account.
I should. Yes, I got Twitter
You
gang.
got the Twitter now.
Did you get Twitter today?
You did,
Yeah.
yeah. You didn't see my post?
Yeah, I followed you, you son of a bitch.
Well, sorry, I haven't been on Twitter in a couple hours. Fine.
Yeah.
I've done literally nothing except sign up. So
Well, hey, that's
All right, we'll
that's the
start
first
sending
step
out
right
these
there.
nuggets. Yeah.
You're still an egg, right?
yes.
You haven't got an avatar yet.
Yeah.
Well, it can be Harley Quinn, maybe.
May I should send the photos.
I think
to
that's what it
Margot
should
Robbie.
be.
And be like, I'm hotter than you.
Was of course John's mom, who like knows that like she gave birth to him. You know, I sent her
She's
a
like,
photo.
this is my son.
I sent her a photo of him in the Harley Quinn outfit, and I was like, "Happy Halloween!" And she writes back, "He's prettier than Margot Robbie, though she did think you were Olivia Newton-John at first."
Oh
Yes.
my god.
He's like, she's
My
like,
mother's 75 years old and very out of touch. No, she's not 75. But
but
she
was
is
like,
62?
Sure. She
Yeah.
was like, is he Olivia Newton-John, honey? And I was like, no. And I sent her a photo of Margot Robbie. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, John's prettier.
You had,
Thanks,
you had
Mom.
a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow going on too, right?
Oh, he
yeah.
like almost a full
Yeah.
beard.
That was
that
was
was
part
like
of it.
that's part of the ambiance.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm your third follower. Yay.
Yeah, but
just found you on Twitter.
my Halloween was kind of lackluster.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I didn't do much.
Sorry.
I mean, I went to one. I mean, this is kind of personal. Found out I had mono, so that kind of puts a damper on
Yeah, I
like
could see that.
some Halloween
lame.
plans. You're not really going to go out and do anything, but I did go to
Brian and every 13-year-old girl in America.
yes, That was what the doctor said. They're like, "You're like 31. How the fuck did you get mono?" And I'm like, you know what?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yes, I hang out at high schools. That's what it is.
Whoa.
No.
Hey, Donald Trump's on trial for child rape, not our co-host.
Yeah. No, I still have no idea how the fuck I got it. No fucking clue.
It's crazy.
But I mean, I went to a Halloween party on Sunday, which was fun, and I was talking to a couple people on Monday, and I was like, does it feel like the actual Halloween day is kind of like, eh? You know what I mean?
It's
Well,
always
when
that
it's a
weekend.
When
Yeah.
it's a weekday, it's rough.
Well,
you
I
know?
mean, I was talking to a few people, and I kind of came up with the theory that, people, they kind of blow their Halloween load on Saturday and Sunday. So by the time they get to Monday, they're kind of just like,
I could see that.
it's like major refractory period at that point. You know,
once we carve our pumpkins, we're kind of done.
you're just kind of meh,
Yeah, so
Halloweened out.
sadly we took down all the skeletons yesterday.
I noticed that. I was in here. I'm just like,
Fallish now.
where's all the cool shit?
I know, all the cool shit had to go bye-bye.
No, it
There's
doesn't.
nothing more depressing than Halloween decorations.
We
that
kept
have been
all
up
the
for
foul-
too
That's
long.
not
shaped
depressing. What are you
festivals.
talking about? My house has Halloween decorations up 365.
Well, that's different, but
Good
we
as
only
me.
have some Halloween stuff out, and I wanted to get it put away, so...
You know what you can do? You can bring that stuff out for Christmas and then have like Nightmare
Put
Before
Santa hats
Christmas.
on them and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
Love it.
there you go. So we're on episode 29.
Yeah!
Okay,
Oh,
so there is
next
that.
episode's the big 3-0.
Big 30.
Hot.
I hear
Yep.
that episode might be a little strange.
Excellent, excellent.
We're gonna talk about my genitals.
When don't we talk
Yeah,
about
when
your
don't-
genitals?
when don't we talk about
We've
your
already
genitals?
talked about them this episode.
So for this episode, we're going to be talking, because it's kind of in the news, election movies. Mm-hmm. Political
Well, this is a
films.
good way for us to talk politics without getting into personal politics.
That's
and
a good idea.
Potentially alienating any of our
We don't want to
listenership.
alienate
We
anyone.
love you guys.
But,
but we got like a little news bit.
little bit of a
first.
news bit.
So
So go
listen
ahead and
up,
throw
listen
the
up,
news.
nerds. I got some cool shit for you. So it was announced.
listening.
It was announced very recently that, according to the entertainment site Hypable, it looks like that someone very, very famous is going to be joining the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them franchise.
Okay.
So
Well, smack my wife. Who could it be?
a little. Oh my God, you're so rude.
Smack my wife and call me Susan.
I'm not calling you Susan.
Oh.
So just a little bit of background for the uninitiated.
Yeah, I'm
Fantastic
uninitiated.
Beasts and Where to Find Them is the new
Potter.
franchise set in the Harry Potter Wizarding world.
Now, was this not like a textbook? Like it was done like kind of a kitschy little side
Yeah, it's
project
written
that
by
J.K. Rowling did?
a person named Newt Scamander. Now that is the main character of this movie.
Yeah.
This is a film that they did without a novel, but J.K. Rowling did write the script.
Okay.
It's apparently going to be a 5-film franchise. That was actually very
Wow,
recently announced as
they're
well.
just milking.
What, they did The Hobbit
And-
into 3 movies when you really need 1?
Yeah, I mean it's true.
3.5 hour
They need
movies?
more money. Okay, that's what it
It's
is.
true.
More money.
It's true. But they so the film is very hotly anticipated, coming out November 18th, and is also being directed by David Yates, who did the last several
Yeah.
of the Harry Potter franchise. So he's
The only one to
very
not go
familiar.
crazy doing these Harry
Yeah,
Potter
well,
movies.
he's very, Chris Columbus. Who the fuck's idea was that? For the first 2, they're so schmaltzy.
Did he go
and
crazy?
Horrible. Well, he didn't do them after that. He was.
Well, it's like, well, he was able to direct Macaulay Culkin. He can direct these little brats. You know,
Yeah.
that's probably the thinking when they.
That
So-
is kind of the thinking.
But I think that the franchise has been very well placed in David Yates' hands. I mean, I think Harry Potter as all total is like something at like 7.8 billion.
Wow.
For all the films in the box office. So I mean, that's why they're making 5 more films. Come
Yeah.
on. And I mean, for me, like I'm fangirling out over here. I mean, it seems like everyone's freaking out. Like Hot Topic just came out with the new line of all the 20s clothes. You know, I mean, everywhere you look right now. I mean,
Brian just came, everyone.
the jacket.
You have to understand, it's a sore subject for me with Hot Topic.
I know. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I was the goth kid in high school.
Sorry.
And
You used to hang out there, like get an orange
oh yeah,
Julius. And
oh yeah,
go
fuck
in there.
yeah, Orange Julius, Orange Julius. Go to Hot
You're-
Topic,
you're
Hot Topic.
buy my trip pants.
Yeah.
Painting
You know?
painting a photo for us here, y'all.
Yeah, and you know what? Then I walked in there, not to get off subject, but since you are bringing up Hot Topic,
That's fine.
I walked in there about a year ago with one of my best friends, and he was going in there to buy pants Okay,
That's where I buy my pants.
because he needed pants, and
Okay, fair enough.
he still is. He's a witch, so he needed black pants.
Okay.
a particular brand, and so
not
we
what I
go
got
to
my
Hot
witch
Topic.
pants.
Well, he does, and we go to Hot Topic, and we're just sitting there, just looking at everything, and we're just like, "What the fuck happened?"
They got a lot of licensure and a lot
It's
of
just
exclusive product. Like,
crap.
it's like Disney threw up in there.
It really is. It's like a
Brian,
dark
maybe
Disney
did you just
store.
get older?
Well, they didn't.
I mean, that
used to-
store was always junk
no,
to me.
they
No.
They didn't have the like kind of pop culture stuff that they.
They
do
used to
now.
be
Like,
strictly-
It used to be very obscure.
It used to be obscure. It was basically mostly music based.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a lot of it
lot
was
band
like
shirts,
metal
that sort of thing.
and you know, dark music, and then like you had the fashion that to go with
like
it.
pants with suspenders.
That's what I had.
I bought like 3 pairs of pants with suspenders
I
from
had
Hot Topic. I'm
2
not gonna
pairs.
lie to you.
What
Like
are you, Mork from Mork?
I bought a lot of shit from Hot Topic when I was
I
in
had
high
shirts.
school, man.
I had a lot of
Like,
shirts from Hot Topic.
yeah.
I had the pants.
I think I still have 1 pair of pants. They were like baggy and they had like the crisscross suspenders
Yep.
in the back. Oh my god.
the bondage pants.
I think they're somewhere. I think they're in my mom's house.
Yeah, I had
Delicious.
one. Those used to be my laundry shorts. Like, you know, when you're cleaning everything and you're like, I don't want to wear
Laundry day.
something
Laundry day.
that I care
Totally.
about. So
Totally.
you have those, but
I think I did make one purchase in there. I got a Black Sabbath T-shirt. I
Yeah,
think, from Hot
there you
Topic.
go.
that used to be the only place you can get them though.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
before
I mean,
Walmart
it
got
used to
all the
have,
stuff,
like,
that was
yeah,
it.
It used to have like a ton of
But
really
anyway,
obscure stuff.
just to finish a point, we went there and we're just like looking around and we're just like, what the fuck happened to this place? On top of that, the store attendant used to always be some guy or girl heavily tattooed, pierced all over the place, like someone who you could tell was literally in the shit, that they were selling. Instead, you got this fucking bro. It was a bro.
it's rough.
Tan bro. It was a tan bro, and he actually was like, he told my friend, one of my friend was buying female pants because they fit him better. Okay.
Okay, makes sense.
So the guy was like, dude, these are like women's pants, and my friend's like, yeah, I know,
like so.
but that's not
Man,
what
like
I'm
what
saying.
if somebody was like
Yeah.
uncomfortable about that? Like you
Yeah.
can't just say that.
This guy did say it. So like, I have a very sore spot when it comes to Hot Topic, and you're telling me now they got all the 1920s shit there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have to say,
Well,
one
they had
thing,
to push all the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff to the back for now.
Well, one
For
thing,
now.
Well, one thing I will say is, I mean, Hot Topics had a good history of doing justice to fandoms, and whether we agree with the fandoms that they carry or not. 'Cause
I
like
will
said, there's
give
a
it
lot of
that.
Disney
Yes,
stuff.
there is a lot of Disney
'cause
stuff.
If you look like 2015, they had an amazing collaboration of a clothing line with Doctor Who. They are doing this year's with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. They also just did the Outlander series. They have a collaboration for that line as well. And I mean, the clothes are beautiful, and they seem fairly well made. So if anybody wants the jacket that, Newt Scamander wears in the new movie, that's where you find it.
Or you go to
But-
online and just buy it.
Right, but I mean,
Yeah.
probably from Hot Topic. But they've been doing a lot of good things. I do think that they still are doing justice to fandoms, say like the Harry Potter universe.
I'll give
there's
it
a ton
that.
of Harry Potter stuff there right now
I'll
as
give
well.
it that. I just
But
goth me wants that back.
the nugget that we have for you guys today
Yeah.
is actually that there was some casting news announced today, and it looks like in the role of Gellert Grindelwald, Johnny Depp is going to be joining the franchise cast, which is a huge...
Wait a minute. Famed
Announcement.
character actor and wife beater Johnny Depp?
Yes, indeed, John.
So please explain to me who that character is
Okay, so...
and why it's kind of like awesome or
it's
bad.
We are
it's
or
very
baby birds.
interesting. It's pretty cool.
Barf in our mouths.
So
Yeah.
I will feed you, baby birds. So Gellert Grindelwald is a legendary wizard from the Harry Potter universe.
Okay.
He was best friends with Dumbledore, the headmaster of Hogwarts, when they were young.
Okay.
And then they ended up also being in a wand battle, a wizard's duel in the 40s.
They were dueling?
Yeah, and it was long contested, like who's more powerful, Grindelwald or
isn't
Dumbledore, because
considered?
Dumbledore's supposed to be the greatest wizard that ever lived.
Yeah.
But Grindelwald was just as smart and just as
According to
talented.
Dumbledore.
But the only
Dumbledore.
no. This is an objective thing that Dumbledore is the best.
greatest wizard who ever lived. Trust me. My wizarding's fantastic.
I'm gonna make wizarding great again.
No, you both have to stop. No Trump comparisons to my beloved Dumbledore. I will murder you both and stuff the bodies in the closet.
Fantastic, let me tell you that.
No.
I know more about wizarding than the general.
Damn you both.
So please continue before we continue.
Are you fuckers done yet? Damn it.
Probably.
Go ahead.
So anyway, Grindelwald and Dumbledore had a famous duel in 45, I think it was, that Dumbledore beat him. The big problem with Grindelwald is that he was brilliant, but he got kind of into the dark arts. And
Did they fight to the death, or was it just like a friendly battle?
Is it like your wizard? Your wand
it
kind of
wasn't
like snaps,
friendly, but I mean,
Like a UFC kind of thing?
Dumbledore won, but it didn't kill him. So,
Okay.
Grindelwald actually was killed by Lord Voldemort when Voldemort was looking for the Elder Wand.
Oh shit!
Because anybody who's familiar with the Harry Potter franchise, they'll know the Deathly Hallows. One of them is the Elder Wand, and Voldemort was looking for it so he could master death.
Yeah.
And when they were young, Dumbledore and Grindelwald were both obsessed with Hallows, and they wanted to collect them all. And this is kind of philosophical and maybe besides the point, but I think Dumbledore wanted to collect these items to fully understand and fully realize magic, and Grindelwald wanted these objects to lord power over and to master magic. And I think that's the difference, because Grindelwald
one's respect and one is mastery.
Yeah, and Grindelwald is usually understood to be a dark wizard because he was more seduced by the dark side, as it were. He went to the Durmstrang Academy in Hungary. It is rumored. And he's probably from Eastern Europe. We're not totally sure. There's a lot that's still kind of like fuzzy, and maybe this franchise will give
Tommy
us more
Wiseau.
information. He's kind of like Tommy Wiseau. No, I'm just kidding. Grindelwald is not at all like
Oh,
Tommy
hi,
Wiseau.
Albus.
But yeah, so I mean, this is a huge announcement, for Johnny Depp, who's very recognizable, to join, the franchise in this way. It's interesting that they would have him join. I'm curious to see what he would bring to the role. We haven't seen a ton of Grindelwald in the movies per se.
We haven't seen a ton of new Johnny Depp films.
I mean, he's been in trouble.
Yeah, it's a combination of most of his movies plummeting in the box office, and also he did that Alice in Wonderland.
Well, that's kind of why his movies plummeted. I think.
And then I know he's doing another Pirates.
Yeah, they announced that too.
He's going back to that well.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Wouldn't you?
Listen,
if they kept giving him stupid money, wouldn't you take it? I mean, I would take it.
Now, his divorce proceedings have been wrapped up as of August. He and Amber Heard settled out of court.
He bought her off.
And she was going to donate the money to charity. She didn't say which one, but she was going to donate the money. She's 30. I think I was surprised by that.
And he's like 54 years old? He's up there.
In his 50s.
Can't imagine why those two didn't have more in common.
I mean,
Yeah.
We both had like nothing. We're just like, fuck you, John. Like, of course not.
The only thing that attracted was his fist to her face,
Oh, Jesus Christ, man.
Well, I mean, like the statement.
He did it.
The statement was very like generic and was like, our relationship was volatile at times, but always from a place of love and blah blah blah.
So it was volatile from a place of love.
I guess. I mean, that
I
was
loved
the
you
official
too much.
statement.
Why do you make me love you so much?
I guess so.
Whack.
I mean, I guess that was the statement that they released.
Isn't that kind of like the definition of an abusive relationship?
Well, it was a joint statement, like from both of their
a jointly
camps
abusive
or whatever,
relationship.
I guess. So I don't know.
Wow,
that surprised me. But I know Johnny Depp's a very controversial figure right now, and I wish that wasn't the case, because I think him being cast is very exciting.
It is exciting. I mean,
but
I'm not as fan crazy with the Harry Potter.
I actually
series.
just realized like how fucking excited I am for this movie. Like today,
yeah, you're the big Harry Potter head here. Yeah,
I'm so excited.
Hey, at least Johnny Depp can go running back in the arms of Tim, his true love.
It's gonna be great. But I'm very excited. I mean, I was excited about this announcement anyway.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's gonna be 5 movies, I find that less exciting, just because
Why
I'm a
would they
little
stop
worried
at
about
5?
the content. So I don't know. I mean,
Well, that was the picture deal, I guess. Well, that's a weird number to stop at.
Well, I mean,
normally they would either do 3 or 6.
Maybe Rowling has something in mind. I don't know.
They have the new stories that carry on, like with Harry Potter's kid and stuff. So maybe that'll be like the next 5 after those ones. They're just gonna keep going and going.
I hope Cursed Child doesn't come to screen. I heard it wasn't very good.
Oh, I heard it was alright.
But anyway, that's sort of the information
Johnny
we have
Depp
these days.
being that one. Which, I'm really surprised that like he would be the aggressive type, because I'm really surprised that pussy could even grab somebody that aggressively. Speaking of grabbing pussies, let's talk about politics.
And he's done it again.
I think it's only with this election cycle that particular transition would work. It's only this one.
2016.
Only 2016.
With Orange Julius Caesar.
Grabbing pussy be
guys,
the transition.
This time next week, we'll know whether we're moving to Canada or not.
Orange Julius Caesar. Muppet Hitler versus a woman who spent 40 years desperately seeking complete and utter power and control. It's almost like a social experiment, right? This is what we
basically you basically have Hitler versus Palpatine. Okay, that's what it is. You've got Lady Palpatine versus Orange Hitler.
Orange Julius.
Wow.
I can kind of see like a Hillary Clinton go power.
All the plugs we've given Orange Julius, they can send us some like free Orange Julius tickets or something.
Yes,
in the mail,
Orange Julius. If you want to go ahead and sponsor the show,
we'll do ads for you.
We'll do ads for you. Just pay us in Orange Julius's.
Just let us do the ads the way we want to. Mm-hmm. But we thought we'd
talk about some election movies,
take a little
right?
peek. Yeah, the history of election films and and how they differed throughout the years in politics and film, and kind of go from there. In honor of the upcoming election. So we'll see you next Tuesday if I drink a little or drink a lot.
There will be drinking involved. That's the key here. That is really the key. No matter what, there'll be drinking. So what movies do you want to start with here? I mean, or how do you want to...
Just kind of like a brief overview. It's very interesting. You go back to, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which isn't necessarily an election film, but it's interesting when you go back that far how the idea of like a noble man going to Washington and overcoming things and being, the voice of reason and hope, like, was actually something that used to permeate through the country. But most of the films that deal with elections, that when that thing really kind of started, you saw in the 1970s, kind of during Watergate and Vietnam, and that whole era kind of permeated the idea that everybody in politics is either corrupt or awful, or was made to become corrupt and awful. The 1972 Robert Redford film, The Election, kind of, or The Candidate, excuse me, dealt with that. Sorry, I was looking at the election on the screen there. But, it's interesting we talk about this because there's actually two documentaries, one kind of half documentary, one full documentary, one on Hillary, and Hillary and like the... give me a second here. The Secret History of the Democratic Party, made by that psychopath Republican pundit who claimed that like the
was it a Breitbart thing? Was it one of those guys?
Yeah, where apparently the Democratic Party is in line with like neo-Nazis and Ku Klux Klan and because that makes sense. And then there's Michael Moore in Trumpland, which is also about Hillary, actually. You think with the title it would be about Donald Trump, but it's actually about Hillary.
How great is it that, like, Michael Moore did a Facebook Live video. It was his first live video ever. And he was, like, trying to explain, like, I'm not trying to hoodwink anybody this time. Like, the movie Trumpland is not for Trump. It's against Trump, but people keep downloading it. People think that it's supporting him.
Oh my God.
It was so amazing. He was like crushing it with downloads because it was on iTunes. And he was like, guys, I'm not trying to be shady here. Like, that's basically what he said.
I think I would have just shut up. I think I would have shut up and just taken the money.
Right, and he didn't. He was like, guys, like,
just take the money.
You know what this is about, right?
Hey, they'll find out when they watch the movie.
Right?
So just shut up and just take their money.
I thought it was very noble of Michael Moore to be like, you guys know what this is like. You guys have heard of me, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think election films and movies that are politically driven, they mimic the times that they're made in.
Absolutely.
And also whatever the quote unquote narrative that our society or our media goes ahead and puts out. So like you look at a movie like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and the idea was this person is, he's doing his civic duty and he's trying to clean up, the government, and he's trying to go ahead and represent something, and he's the everyman, and blah, blah, blah. And that was the narrative at the time, that your political system was working for you, and that the best thing you could do was possibly try to go ahead and work for your political system, to donate your time and that sort of thing. And then, you go ahead and you get to Watergate, and you get to the Vietnam War, and it suddenly casts kind of, I would say, the beginning of, looking at your government and saying,
in a very cynical way,
is it really working for me? Do they really have my best interest at heart? Is there some other agenda going on here? And that's reflected in movies. Like The Manchurian Candidate, for instance. Like, that's a good example of that. That's mostly, Cold War paranoia.
Yes.
But that was also happening at the same time. There was Cold War paranoia going on. And that movie kind of is indicative of that. You also look at movies that maybe aren't necessarily political, but I think of The Dead Zone. You ever see that film?
Yeah, I've actually read the book and seen the film.
Yeah, so The Dead Zone deals with, what happens if you've got someone who's psychic, who goes ahead and is able to see the future and sees that a political candidate is going to cause nuclear war. So...
What an outrageous idea.
What an outrageous idea there. Yeah. But, that's in a time when the idea of nuclear war was... pretty prevalent.
The 90s, actually, it was more of a satirical look because, the economy was doing better. We were all doing a little better. So it was more of a wink, nudge,
well,
nudge.
I mean, I think you can also thank, Saturday Night Live for that.
Yeah.
I think Saturday Night Live took our politics and kind of put a comedic spin on it that maybe wasn't necessarily as... I'm not going to say that it wasn't there before, but it just wasn't nearly as popular and as prominent. So, and then you have, Bill Clinton, who was more of a, I guess I would say more of a media, friendly, president than previous presidents. He would, we would do his whole saxophone bit and, it's all his other bullshit, and
on the Arsenio Hall show.
Yes. And was more, out there with the people, so to speak, and was able to be more satirical. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of opened it up to that.
Well, you look at that era, too. Primary Colors, Wag the Dog, Dave, The Contender, all of them kind of dealt with the Clinton era issues of, being a philanderist,
Yeah, pretty much.
And, The Contender kind of flipped it on its head, which is a very good film, kind of a forgotten film of the late 90s, but it dealt with...
I forgot The Contender. Can you explain The Contender just
It is about, it's about a woman seeking, political, climbing up the political ladder. Yeah. But there was a possible sex scandal when she was in college, and as with Hollywood, she's on, she's a Democrat, and the Republicans, led by, Gary Oldman, are trying to destroy her.
That's the Joan Allen movie.
Joan Allen, yeah.
Yeah,
Joan
I
Allen's
do remember that film.
And the thing is, it turns out the story wasn't true anyways, and they asked her, why did you keep fighting it so long, when it wasn't even true? She said, it was the moral principle of it. So even before we had Hillary Clinton, they had movies dealing with, what if a woman ran for president, what kind of chauvinistic, things would stand in her way in that kind of situation. It's a very good movie. If you haven't seen it, I would check that out.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's forgotten. It's actually, it's a very competently done movie.
I think the problem too is it came out in 2000.
Yeah.
And I think people, for some reason, pre 9/11, forget movies that came out in the year before.
Could be fair.
I've noticed that certain movies that came out in 2000, people forget them.
A Gladiator won Best Picture, so
yeah. But I'm just saying, I noticed that post 9/11,
the Aaron Brockovich era.
Yes, the Aaron Brockovich era. But yeah, I mean, it's movies like that. I mean, they kind of are windows into our time.
The one that I thought was kind of way ahead of its time, and I think very much reflects what we're going through right now, is Bob Roberts, which is one of my favorite films. It's a Tim Robbins movie. where he plays the title character of Bob Roberts, who is this neoconservative who uses his charm and, he dabbles in music and things like that, so he has a certain level of celebrity.
Yeah. That was directed by Tim Robbins.
Yeah, he directed it as well. To kind of run amok in the political system, use it for his gain, lie, and just get away with it. I mean, Bob Roberts, if you're looking for a film version of Donald Trump, then this is the film to go see. I would suggest taking a look at this because Tim Robbins warned us about this years ago.
Well, I mean, he's a perfect person for it. I mean, him and his wife have always been involved in politics to some degree. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I know they were in this particular election cycle. They were big supporters of Sanders, and really got involved with that. Yeah,
he plays more of like a Paul Ryan kind of guy. I mean, nobody could predict that, Muppet Hitler would actually resonate with certain people, but...
Which Muppet? Is he the Swedish Chef? I feel like he's the Swedish Chef.
No, I think he's his own Muppet.
No, I think he's one of those old cantankerous fuckers up in the balcony.
It was like if Jim Henson put that Pentagon star down and then threw a bunch of felt, and then the floor opened up and it all went in and it came out it's just like a new Muppet was made.
Well,
and it was
that's not how it happened. How it happened was from the movie Hellraiser when Frank is being resurrected from the floor. Okay, all you had to do was spill a little KKK blood on the floor and out pops a muscular skeleton Donald Trump.
Well, maybe
that then
it was
turns
KKK
flabby.
blood and felt, and that's how we got
blood and
Hitler.
felt. Yes.
Well, I don't know if you guys have seen, but the KKK has come out in support of Trump.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Oh. I mean, really? Is anyone surprised? Anybody surprised by that one? No.
But in an era where they were a little more glib, a little more tongue in cheek, political films about elections, we had Bob Roberts, which was kind of a scary look into the future. It's one of my favorite films. I really suggest checking that out. Possibly, if you're thinking about voting for Trump, check it out before the election. Maybe it'll change your mind. I don't know.
Honestly, I think people who are gonna go lock down, vote for Trump, are pretty much locked down at this point.
Yeah, I guess we're just throwing out our feelings on things here. But
yeah.
But if you're voting for Trump, I don't know what you're listening to this podcast for. But
they lack movies.
Don't like us very much.
They lack movies.
Yeah. Hey, we'll take everybody.
I mean, yeah, it's true.
But you had kind of the presidential nominee as goofy entertainer in George W. He was playing a character, and Donald Trump is playing a character. If you look at him, Donald Trump at some point became the Donald, and the Donald ended up becoming the only actual person in there anymore. Like some people say Ric Flair, the guy whoever was Ric Flair before he became that wrestling character doesn't exist anymore, and only Ric Flair exists. I think the Donald only exists now, and whoever, I'm not saying that Donald Trump, the man, was ever in any way a good person, but the Trump was him to the nth degree, and I think that caricature has just taken over completely. I
think there's definitely some sort of mental illness going on there.
Yeah. And so, but you see with W, he was playing a character orchestrated, by
Karl Rove.
Yeah, Ham Rove.
His conservative buddies and his dad's buddies.
Yeah, but it was all this cowboy down home spun. It was a character they created, and so we want entertainment. These kind of larger than life characters, and here walks in Donald Trump after you had Mitt Romney, and 4 years before that you had John McCain, and these guys for better or worse were not larger than life characters, and then here walks in Donald Trump just in time to shit on everyone and bully everybody into the ticket, and here's what we have. Here's where we stand.
You know what the sad thing is, though, is that if you strip away the bullshit that he says and the bullying that he says, he's bringing up things that people have legitimately a reason to be angry about. Okay? I'm not talking about the immigrants and all that shit. Okay, that stuff is just xenophobia. Okay, but I think people do feel that they're angry about the current situation. There is income inequality. People do not have nearly as good of jobs as they would hope. We're all students here. We were students. We have student loan debt.
So much
much student loan debt that is crippling and basically dictates what how our lives will go.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our generation doesn't buy homes.
We don't buy homes. We don't start businesses. We don't take risks. And that's the thing.
And it's funny because there's that mentality that millennials are entitled and lazy.
No, we're just trying to survive.
Well, and the the hubris of the boomer generation, I started out with nothing. Well, we would love to start out with nothing. But we're in the hole.
I would love to go ahead and start out at zero.
Yeah, zero would be great instead of the negative 7 digits I'm at.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought the reason I say that is. And I'm not a Trump supporter. I'll go ahead and say that.
6 digits, by the way. Oopsies.
I'm not at all a Trump supporter. I don't think anyone at this table is. And I'm not going to say who I'm voting for. I mean, hell, you go to my Facebook, you can pretty much clearly see that. But I think what he brings up and the anger he taps into is real.
Oh, yeah.
It's real anger. Solutions
he's
for
smart
it.
Enough to
But the solutions he has are not the right solutions.
Oh, and that's every election. I mean, what Trump is really just doing is he's stirring up that anger and thinking of false things for people to blame and making empty promises with no actual ability to back them up.
Right.
Well, before we get off too much just on politics in general, it's funny, you look at movies done by the same filmmakers, Recount and Game Change, which are unfortunately movies that are done after the fact. Obviously there's no other way to do them, but they kind of you take a look back and you just see the circus that were these presidential elections, and you're like, my God, what were we? What did we do? But they're after the fact. Sarah Palin's another example of cartoon character come to life.
I never thought that I would say Sarah Palin is mild compared to Donald Trump.
I really thought he would make her his running mate. I really did.
Oh, God.
And Bulworth was a movie in 1998 that kind of predicted what if somebody just went off the cuff and started saying whatever they wanted and just insulted everybody. And insulted blacks and women and things like that. And he becomes unbelievably successful and beloved. And so it's there's another example of we kind of saw Donald Trump coming. Through Warren Beatty's film Bulworth, which is not a great film.
No, it's not. It
falls on its face, but it raises interesting questions. It was one of those really good idea and then just kind of fell apart in the delivery. But just kind of looking at where we've come and where we are, and
have we mentioned in depth about election yet?
No, I think that's kind of
that movie.
I was gonna say that's the one thing that we've got to talk about. Okay, so the movie Election,
fantastic
with
film.
Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick. I mean, you look at that movie of a woman who, or I mean in this case a young girl who's actively going after political aspirations, not just I'll do this thing, but she's very motivated, very ambitious, and is just systematically taken down.
Hillary Clinton.
And
I pretty much said that's teenage Hillary Clinton right there.
Well, you guys aren't alone. I mean, I did some reading on this when we first talked about the doing this episode. And Reese Witherspoon has been asked, would you ever consider playing Hillary Clinton? And she's like, I already did. And everybody makes the comparisons.
It's
and
true,
actually,
though.
I really recommend the Atlantic's piece on this movie. It's from the summer. It's from June.
Okay.
Of this year. But it's Hillary Clinton, Tracy Flick, and the Reclaiming of Female Ambition, and that's the name of the article. It's by Megan Garber, and she calls Tracy what I think is really cool. She calls her a manic pixie scheme girl instead of manic pixie dream girl. So manic pixie dream girl is the trope of the unattainable and aimless, perfect girl that fills every male desire.
Right.
In this case, Tracy has her own agenda and she has her own stuff that she wants to do.
Kind of like in what was that Michael Cera movie? Scott Pilgrim.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
he was chasing
And like
manic pixies.
and every single character Zooey Deschanel's ever played.
Oh, come
So
on.
she annoys me. But in Election,
Yeah.
you know, for anyone who hasn't seen it or doesn't remember, because it was 17 years ago.
But it's so good.
So we have Tracy Flick, who is, you know, she wants to be president of the student council for her high
Yep.
school. And, you know, she's a bit of an annoying overachiever. She's like Hermione without the charm. Like,
Oh, yeah,
she's
there's no
very
charm
annoying,
whatsoever.
very like grating.
Yep.
And over the course of this movie, you know, she's about to run uncontested for president of her student council. And then this teacher,
Mr. McAllister.
Yep, Jim McAllister, played by Matthew Broderick. He decides to go ahead and push a popular jock who's super stupid,
Donald Trump.
into running against her. He talks the guy into it, and you know, basically the guy's only like, I know what it is to win, you know, to be the person to run in the film.
There are also other plots to this movie too. I mean, the election's like the overarching thing.
I mean, there's a lot
but
of
there's
like
a
sexual stuff.
Yeah, there's apparently you know, Tracy had an affair with her teacher, and you know, kind of gets the teacher fired, and on top of that, you've also got this, you know, arc with Matthew Broderick's character, who, you know, is kind of like the model teacher at the beginning of the movie, and then
all the students love
all the
And
students
they,
love him,
and they
he's
kind of
great.
unravel each other. Like, it's kind of weird how it happens. Like, for some reason, he just becomes obsessed with her, and almost like he has like a psychosexual obsession with her.
He does.
And
yes.
but at the end, I mean, and it's worth noting also that this is like 1999.
Yes.
So the popular jock, Paul, is played by Chris Klein.
Yep.
Which is like he's like the quintessential jock in that time. You know what I mean? So just imagine like Chris Klein's like dumb face wanting to win presidency. Sorry, Chris Klein, you seem like a really nice guy. But you know, just imagine his like vacant jock stare against, you know, this very like small but powerful you know, performance from Reese Witherspoon. And I mean, she was kind of pigeonholed in this for a while before she did Legally Blonde, because she was so unlikable in this film. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff about the film, you know, that's male versus female power, and I really recommend New York Magazine's article by Maureen O'Connor from September, The Very Uncomfortable Experience of Rewatching Election in 2016.
It definitely, you can definitely see that there's a male-female struggle.
Yeah,
in the film.
and it's just a complete power play, because, you know, at her worst, you know, she's not a likable character, you know, and she does have a scene where she has a meltdown.
She has I would say, like, because I personally I love and hate her character.
She's
like
so
it's
intense.
so intense, and then it's just I want to be like, shut the fuck up. Like that's like I want to watch on this one. I'm like, shut up.
Well,
but
it's
like
a character of all the ambition, but
Yes.
none of the charm.
No charm.
i.e. Hillary.
yeah.
Well,
but
I mean,
she does do dirty tricks. Like she tries to go ahead and frame, Chris Klein's sister, who's also running.
yeah, she's like
The Gary Johnson of this movie.
Well, I would say either the Gary Johnson or the Bernie Sanders. Okay, I mean, like,
What's her name? Tammy?
yeah,
I think?
Tammy.
Like, Tammy's kind of an asshole too. Like, we're in one of those films where no one's a likable character, because like at
I
first,
like Tammy more though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, no one's
because
likable.
she's genuine.
And at the beginning, you know, you feel like Matthew Broderick's really likable, but he's so unlikable by the end. He's just like this pathetic shred of a human being, you know. And two, not only does he unfairly rig the election against Tracy. Tracy does win the election, but he rigs it against her.
Oh, Donald Trump predicted it. It's happening.
And not only does he do that, but when he makes the announcement, he makes it so when he announces it could not be more humiliating for her. Like he takes everything from her that he can emotionally. And I just think it's interesting, you know, with this article here that I had been looking at, you know, Hillary Clinton's been asked about Tracy Flick her whole career ever since this movie came out. And how sad is that's the only frame of reference we have for a female candidate who's very ambitious, who wants, you know, to go after what she wants, you know, and doesn't really care if anybody likes her. But it's funny because, like, when you do look at the film, there are so many moments in it where there's just tiny little heartbreaks, where Tracy realizes like, oh, everybody fucking hates me. And I think you can see that,
Yeah. No, I definitely do see that. I think that no one likes to be unliked that much.
Or hated. I can deal with not being liked, but being hated sounds terrible.
Yeah.
But one thing that, just to... With election, one thing I'd like to directly quote from the O'Connor article in New York Magazine. She's talking about watching it now, in the current political climate. So, 17 years ago, election's portrayal of a chronically emasculated teacher's campaign to destroy his most talented female student was darkly comedic. Today, with a dick-obsessed demagogue unleashing vitriol toward the most ambitious woman in American history, election is downright brutal. And I mean, I can't say it better than that, so I'm not going to try.
Dick-obsessed demagogue? Is that what you said? I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
It's true.
But, it's very interesting that they do kind of like a South Park thing where they take something as meaningless as a school election to make it a bigger point of our whole political system. And they kind of saw that in 99. They were kind of ahead of the curve on that kind of thing.
Well, this came out at a time when you also had movies like Rushmore. Like this was kind of
I remember
this was
Rushmore.
kind of in the same vein of that type of like
Right.
the birth of the kind of like Wes Anderson.
Yeah, and
indie
like into the generational
type. Yes.
because it's Robert Schwartzman and Bill Murray destroying each
Jason
other.
Schwartzman.
Jason Schwartzman.
Jason Schwartzman. Robert's
Yes.
his brother.
So we need to catch it before other people do for us.
Yeah.
Totally. I simply misspoke.
Robert Schwartzman, not Jason.
I simply misspoke. I apologize.
But I mean, like, Election was part of that whole like class of like dark humor films. Like this came out, and then you also have movies like The Cable Guy, which again was another dark humor type film. So, but yeah, I mean, I love Election. I think it's a hilarious film, but I can definitely see the points that you're making, that it is,
like I said, I mean, like at
very,
the time it was very dark. I mean, it's always been a very dark film, there is a lot of sexual content.
Yeah.
But
There is in this election.
well, I mean, and I think in a way that it's just, it is uncomfortable because Tracy's underage.
Yes.
One thing that I think that the film mostly gets right is that she is an agency of the situation and she's not anybody's pawn. So
Right. I would say
think that's
that
important because, in the 90s,
her
that
ambition is
wasn't
her
very
own.
well done.
Well, is she possibly a pawn of herself, though?
I mean, possibly, but I mean, it
Not
just
to be,
like
too deep here.
I just mean like they aren't portraying her as an object for men to manipulate. That's really important.
if anything,
to me in
she
media.
she does a lot of she takes command and does a lot of the manipulation on her own.
It's just,
For better or worse, she
right,
does.
right. So
Which you didn't really have movies like that.
it was harder in the 90s for them to kind of, for that to kind of come across.
Definitely.
It just depended on the film, but but it's always been a dark movie. But I think in this current political climate, to see a woman be systematically taken down by male energy, I think that's something totally different now that we have this election as a reference point.
So I guess we have Bob Roberts as something to take a look at if you want to understand Trump, and election if you want to understand Hillary Clinton.
Well, I mean, I don't know that that's fair because I feel like that's just like so pigeonholing. Like, oh, well, we clearly must have to compare Tracy Flick to Hillary Clinton. It's a shame that there's no other film that really covers that subject matter.
Honestly, I think that film is coming. I'm serious. I mean, if you think about it, the as I said, these types of films are products of our time. So I imagine that in the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to get a type of film that does deal with a type of character like Hillary Clinton.
Well, there is the contender.
The contender is one.
Now, it's her husband that was dipping the pen in the company ink, not her, but it still kind of talks about how, the power structure, the male power structure would do everything they can to destroy a woman who has, any semblance of power. So that's kind of more of a, if you want to look for a representation of that, that's a little more charming example than Tracy Flick. But, so there's that as well. But, and then obviously there's also a movie called The Face in the Crowd. I
never heard of that film.
It's from the 1950s. it stars Walter Matthau, and most directly it stars Andy Griffith as this kind of no-name guy. It's not about an election necessarily, but it talks about how somebody was pulled out of obscurity, rose to fame very quickly. Now, Donald Trump was already a millionaire with his, building hotels and casinos, but
And tiny hands.
yeah. But he ends up making everybody fall in love with him. But the movie ends with his mic accidentally turning on and talking about how all the people that adore him are idiots and morons, and just and his mic. That audio picks up live on television, and instead of it absolutely destroy him, they suggest, well, he'll just lay low for a while, and maybe we'll just come up with a new scheme. He'll never be as big as he was, but as long as we lay low, we can just turn this as a
Here's the thing.
benefit for him in the long
I
run.
used to believe that those types of gaffes would destroy candidates. I don't think that anymore.
No.
I mean, I think quite literally, and this is not just for Donald Trump, I think this is for any candidate going forward, that you could go ahead and obviously say horrible, horrible things and do horrible, horrible things. And as long as you feed the crowd, the mob, it's almost like Roman times. That's kind of the feeling I get. As long as you feed the crowd what they want to hear, they'll just ignore. Like that. I see it. And as I said, I see this on both sides of the aisle too. I don't just see this with just Donald Trump. I see this with Hillary Clinton as well. Because, I mean, you could go ahead and look at the WikiLeaks and all the other shit, and you could see that clearly, both candidates are flawed to some degree.
Yeah.
But I think prior to this election, any of this stuff would be killers to the candidate.
Well, look at
Would
Mitt
just kill
Romney
him.
last year, where he said, we don't have to worry about those people that won't
Yeah.
vote for us, and it completely
destroyed him.
But Donald Trump has said that from day one, and he's only more popular. I don't understand.
I don't understand what's changed. I mean,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, and this is, I guess, to be fair, you look at Hillary Clinton and you look at her emails, and you look at the at least the Podesta emails that came out, and you see things where she's saying like, hey, you know what? I am in the pocket of the big banks. I am in the pocket of Wall Street. I am going to go ahead and probably push through fracking and TPP and all these other things. And she at the same time goes ahead to her campaign to at public appearances says, oh yeah, I'm all against that. In any other election, that would destroy you. But I think the bar has been lowered so low that none of this shit affects him anymore.
Well, I mean, I think the problem is that, I don't know how we got to this point, but, you had mentioned anger before, and I think people are kind of upset, because the shock of the recession is over. It's not 2008 anymore. Things are a little better, but
they're not
I think
great.
People are so focused now on like, well, I'm never going to have the American dream. And that fosters, resentment and anger. And I think, the easy thing to do is to look to the president to solve all of our problems.
Well, I'm obviously that's the wrong solution.
It's an outdated notion.
It's an outdated notion.
But I think that's maybe where we just, because I've been thinking about this a lot, how did we get to this point, of this election? Because, I mean, to have a viable candidate as someone who is admitted to sexual assault, that's what I can't wrap my brain around. Like, the end. Like, I mean, Trump is a sexual predator, the end.
Yeah.
Well, guys, just off the top of your head, I know we don't know statistics here, but how many presidential candidates have to go to court for raping a 13-year-old?
I mean,
wait, one.
Yeah, done counting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, I've been really trying to wrap my brain around this because for me, I mean, the whole thing is very scary. I next week, I hope I'll be, not packing my bags and moving to Canada to escape Emperor Trump's martial law.
He'll try to declare it before January 20th when he's sworn in.
But I think what's scary though is that this anger has manifested into something really ugly. And I think too, I mean, we said mostly everything I wanted to say about election, but one of the things that I think bothers me is that, you look at Jim McAllister taking down, this student and everything, and it seems like a little pathetic, like a little like, oh wow, like okay. But I mean, in this day and age, I mean, you see, all of this anger and hatred like directed at, say like women or minorities that are, into these, very frightening catcalling attacks or things that have been coordinated on social media. I mean, like Gamergate, where this hatred has just risen up. And I think that's, obviously what Donald Trump has been tapping into. And I think that's the scariest part of all, is that this hatred is just so easily unleashed. And, I think that's why when you look at something like election, it just, you could see it in 1999 as like this like pathetic teacher who like needs to get a life. But now you see it as like kind of the beginning of the seed that was planted of a lot of hatred, against women or oppressed people.
I still say that I don't say that the anger isn't warranted. I say that the
and you and I are talking about two different kinds of anger. Like,
right.
I want to be clear. Like,
right. No.
I understand that.
I think they're all tied to the same thing, though. I really
just
do.
The disillusionment of the American dream.
Exactly. I think the problem is, and I mean, I know this is the wrong type of podcast for this sort of thing.
Well, we knew we'd get into this
we would get into this a little bit. But I don't think the anger is unwarranted. It is just, how do we channel that anger? It is a choice between going ahead and going down a very dark path that we've already gone down before.
Well, I mean, I've blaming other people for our problems.
No, but I'm just saying, we as humanity has gone down that dark path.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
We had a world war over that dark path.
We did.
Okay, and we seem to continue to keep repeating the same mistake over and over and over again. Hell, the most recent...
Did you just say Donald Trump is Hitler?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, I did. I did say that.
I'm
okay
with it.
We've gone down that dark path. Okay? We also have gone down another path that I think has kind of led to this, where we're not addressing the problems that lead us to go down that path to begin with. And that's the issue. Is that, and this is more of just my own personal politics, but I look at both candidates and I don't see any winning. Like, I know that there's a historical precedent, and I'm all in favor of the historical precedent. I just don't see a winning here. I see a degree of losing. I see which degree of losing do you want? One is very bad. I'm not gonna be. I'll be honest with you. Yes, Donald Trump is horrible, and honestly, if that's the case, the country's fucked. Okay, but the other option, the one that I didn't pick, and I know that a lot of people like me didn't pick, is one that continues the metastasizing cancer that causes the anger that Donald Trump is able to tap into.
Right.
Because the issues aren't getting dealt with.
Right.
And I hope to God that I'm wrong. I really do. And I'm not trying to be like a supreme pessimist and say basically
this podcast got really depressing really fast.
Hey, I definitely respect your difference of opinion.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, I just have to say it out loud so
yes.
that, like, I've said it to, for listeners to hear. I mean, I can't go with you and say that they're both bad to some degree, because Donald Trump has committed violence against women,
yes.
and as a woman, yeah, I mean, he's an awful human
yes,
being.
He is an awful human being.
And it's a level that nothing else can touch for me. I mean, Hillary was not my candidate in the beginning.
Right.
I was feeling the burn, but
we're all Bernie people here.
But there's I
guess
I just hate when people do say, and I like I said, I respect your difference of opinion, but I hate when people say, well, they're both bad. Like,
no, I don't say that they're both bad as equally bad. One of them is the worst
human being that's ever existed.
Yes.
And that's Donald Trump.
I also will say this. Politicians use fear to get what they want.
Well, I mean,
I see a lot of fear being used.
Yeah, of course. Government and corporations both, because if you keep us afraid, then we keep spending money.
And that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not afraid.
All right, guys.
That's what I'm saying is I'm not
off the rails here.
Hey.
So,
but
that's political psychos.
Hey, come on.
Hey, God, we need to wrangle
all right,
it.
Well, okay, so all right.
We need to say also we need to liven it up a little bit. How about puppet penis wish diaper turd train? Puppet penis, wish diaper, turd train.
Dream
See,
queef.
Dream
queef.
There we
See,
go.
Okay.
There's some funny words, right?
Hey, I mean, we can get a little serious. I mean, I
Sweaty
hope-
balls.
Okay.
I mean, if people aren't feeling it, they might
Yeah.
have turned this one off. And
That's
turned
fine.
in for like Doctor Strange, but we can
Yeah.
get deep every once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, if
but
you're
you're
still
right.
listening, we're going to talk about Marvel movies next week.
Right.
Yes.
But I would
Yes.
say, as far as movies like this, I think that they're very.
And I'm sure I'll get
fascinating.
lots of hate mail saying "fuck you," and that's
Oh, well,
fine.
from somebody.
It's fine,
Yeah, we're
but,
all going to get it from
But
somebody.
I mean, like, I definitely would recommend seeing Election.
Yes.
I think that one's a really good one.
I
to
think
see.
any of
Bob
these
Bob Roberts is a
election
great one to
films
see.
definitely check out.
There's a lot of good ones to check out. And
But where does political cinema go from here? Post Trump, whether he wins or loses,
I don't
and
know.
post Hillary, obviously, I think the same people that made Recount and Game Change will make some version of this.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll,
Oh, how could
we'll
they
watch it and go,
not?
what?
That what are you talking about? That's going to be the Oscar winner. Okay, like that's
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Are they? Do you think they'll I don't know, maybe like Oliver Stone makes Trump, like the way he made Nixon? Do you think
course.
somebody's going to make a Donald Trump?
Well, he
movie?
did a W movie, so I mean
Yeah,
he's
well,
got to do.
Bush was still in office.
that
Yeah.
was ballsy as hell.
that took some balls there.
did.
But yeah, I think there'll definitely be a Trump film, or I just wonder who do you think would play him?
I don't know, man. I would do an unknown if I was going
Yeah?
do it. I would do an unknown.
I don't know.
Well, Alec Baldwin's
I was
going
gonna
to
say
on
Alec
SNL.
Baldwin kind of has it down pat. Yeah.
True story.
So-
but yeah, but
Well, we'll see. I guess we'll see. I guess it really depends on who wins the election on where political films go
Right.
from here, because that will dictate our discourse as we had discussed.
history is told by the winners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, what do they always say? Film is not the reality of reflection, but not the reflection of reality, but the reality of reflection.
Oh, so deep.
Oh,
So deep.
You pulled that from your MFA, didn't you? You did. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. So
Just a little dard.
that's our show.
Love it or hate it.
Probably like, fuck you guys. Don't ever do politics again. And we'll promise you, we won't do another show like this for another 4 years. Okay.
True. It's very true.
Well,
So-
40% politics.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Google Plus at Psycho Show. You can go ahead and find us on Twitter now.
Yeah,
Which is
John
great.
got Twitter.
You want to go ahead and give your Twitter handles?
Yeah, you can find me at LA_Croft on Twitter.
I am at the Unreal J Wolves. I have not actually sent out an official tweet yet. Created this afternoon.
need to get on
but
that.
You need to get
I
on that
will-
tweeting, man.
I will send something out immediately. Feel free to tweet at me.
Yeah.
Positive or negative, I don't care. I will happily debate you back and forth if you don't like me. That's
There you go.
He twirls on his haters, just so you know.
He does. And you can find me at Brian Connington, or I'm also the one who runs the Psycho Show Twitter handle. So if you do have a movie that you would love for us to go ahead and review, or a question you want to go throw to us, you can contact us at our website, cinemapsychoshow.com, and be sure to subscribe to catch our next show, available every Friday.
Go vote.
Yes, please go vote.